The sun rose slowly over the dusty planet of Zeta 9, casting long shadows across the alien landscape. Dr. Zork, a respected archaeologist from the Galactic Union, wiped his forehead with a tentacle as he surveyed the dig site. His team had been working for months, searching for any signs of ancient civilizations. Another day, another disappointment. Zork muttered to himself, but little did he know, today would change everything. As the morning wore on, one of Zork's assistants came running towards him, waving all four arms excitedly. Dr. Zork, Dr. Zork, we found something. Zork hurried to the spot where his team had been digging. As he approached, he saw a glint of metal peeking out from the red soil. His heart raced with anticipation. Careful now, he instructed his team. Let's uncover it slowly. Hours passed as they carefully removed the dirt and rocks. Slowly, the object beneath began to take shape. It was huge, far bigger than anything they had expected to find. As the last of the dust was cleared away, Zork and his team stood back in awe. Before them lay an enormous spaceship, unlike anything they had ever seen before. It's a fleet, Zork whispered, his eyes wide with disbelief. For as far as they could see, the tips of other ships poked out from the ground. They had uncovered not just one ship, but an entire armada. News of the discovery spread quickly. Within days, the quiet dig site had turned into a bustling camp full of scientists, researchers, and curious onlookers from across the galaxy. Zork found himself constantly surrounded by other experts, all eager to share their opinions on the fleet. Look at the primitive design, one scientist scoffed, pointing at the ship's hull. It's practically ancient. Another researcher chimed in. The technology must be thousands of years old. It's a miracle these ships are still intact. Laughter rippled through the crowd as they continued to mock the seemingly outdated fleet. Zork, however, remained quiet. Something about these ships didn't add up. As the days passed, more and more of the fleet was uncovered. The ships were indeed old, their metal hulls weathered by time. But there was something odd about them that Zork couldn't quite put his tentacle on. One evening, as the camp settled down for the night, Zork snuck out to examine the ships more closely. He ran his tentacle over the strange markings etched into the hull. They were unlike any language he had ever seen before. Suddenly, his tentacle brushed against what looked like a small button. To his surprise, it gave way under his touch. A soft humming filled the air, and lights began to flicker to life across the ship's surface. Zork stumbled back in shock. It still works, he gasped. The commotion drew others from the camp. Soon, a crowd had gathered, watching in amazement as more and more of the ship came to life. Impossible, one of the scientists who had laughed earlier exclaimed. How can such an old ship still have power? As they watched, a holographic display flickered to life above the ship. Strange symbols danced in the air, completely alien to all who saw them. What is this? Someone in the crowd asked. Zork shook his head, his mind racing. I don't know, he admitted, but I think we've greatly underestimated whoever built these ships. As the night wore on, more ships began to activate. The once quiet desert was now alive with lights and sounds from the ancient fleet. Zork looked out over the glowing ships, a mix of excitement and fear growing inside him. They had laughed at this fleet, dismissed it as primitive and useless. But now, as he watched the advanced technology come to life before his eyes, he realized they had made a terrible mistake. This fleet was far more than it appeared, and Zork had a feeling that their discovery was only the beginning of a much bigger story. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Zork made a decision. He would uncover the truth about this fleet and the mysterious beings who had built it. Little did he know, this quest would lead him to a discovery that would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. The next morning, the dig site buzzed with excitement. News of the fleet's activation had spread quickly, and more researchers poured in from across the galaxy. Dr. Zork found himself at the center of it all, fielding questions and organizing teams to study the mysterious ships. Dr. Zork, what do you think caused the ships to activate? A young scientist asked, her antennae twitching with curiosity. Zork shook his head. I'm not sure, but I intend to find out. As the day progressed, Zork and his team carefully explored the ship that had first come to life. They marveled at the strange, yet somehow familiar design. The ship's corridors were narrow, clearly built for smaller beings than most of the alien species present. Look at these control panels, one researcher called out. They seem designed for creatures with fewer appendages than us. Zork nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. Who could have built these ships? And why were they buried on this remote planet? Suddenly, a loud hum filled the air. The ship's engines roared to life, startling everyone on board. Panic spread through the team as they feared the ship might take off with them inside. Everyone, stay calm. Zork shouted over the noise. Let's see what happens. To their amazement, the ship didn't move. Instead, a large screen at the front of the bridge flickered to life. Strange symbols flashed across it, similar to those they had seen in the holographic display the night before. Can anyone make sense of this? Zork asked, looking around at his bewildered team. No one could, but as they watched, the symbols began to change. Slowly, they morphed into recognizable galactic standard text. It's translating itself, someone whispered in awe. As the translation completed, a message appeared on the screen. Welcome, explorers, initiating systems check and crew assessment. The ship's computer, awakening after thousands of years, began to run diagnostics. Lights flashed, doors opened and closed, and various machines hummed to life throughout the vessel. This is incredible, Zork muttered, his eyes wide with wonder. The ship's systems are still fully functional after all this time. As the diagnostics continued, more surprises emerged. The ship's technology, far from being primitive, was incredibly advanced. It had capabilities that even the most modern Galactic Union vessels couldn't match. Look at these weapon systems, one of the military observers noted, his voice a mix of awe and concern. They're beyond anything we've ever seen. Zork nodded gravely. And this is just one ship. Remember, there's an entire fleet out there. As word of the ship's true capabilities spread, the mood in the camp changed. Excitement gave way to unease. Who had built these powerful vessels? And more importantly, where were they now? Late that evening, as Zork was reviewing the day's findings, an alarm blared across the camp. He rushed outside to see what was happening. To his amazement, the entire fleet was coming to life. Ship after ship lit up, their engines humming in unison. The ground shook as some of the buried vessels began to rise, shaking off centuries of dust and debris. The night sky filled with the glow of ancient engines as more and more ships awakened. It was a breathtaking sight, but also a terrifying one. The power contained in this fleet was enormous, and its purpose was still unknown. As Zork watched the ships rise, a strange feeling came over him. These vessels, despite their alien appearance, felt somehow familiar. It was as if he was looking at a piece of his own history, long forgotten. Suddenly, a realization struck him. The ship designs, the control panels built for fewer appendages, the strange sense of familiarity. It all pointed to one incredible possibility. No, Zork whispered to himself, hardly daring to believe it. It can't be. But deep down, he knew. This fleet, with its incredible power and advanced technology, could only have been built by one species, a species long thought to be nothing more than a myth in the galaxy. Humans. As the implications of this discovery sank in, Zork knew that nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The awakening of this fleet was just the beginning. The real adventure, and perhaps the real danger, was yet to come. The news spread like wildfire across the galaxy. An ancient fleet, more powerful than anything known to current civilizations, had been discovered. And even more shocking, it appeared to be of human origin. Dr. Zork found himself at the center of a galactic storm. Governments, scientists, and curious beings from every corner of known space demanded answers. The quiet dig site on Zeta-9 had become the most important place in the universe overnight. Dr. Zork, is it true? Did humans really build this fleet? A reporter shouted, shoving a microphone in his face. Zork sighed, his tentacles drooping with exhaustion. All evidence points to that conclusion, yes. But we still have much to learn. As the days passed, more and more proof of the fleet's human origins emerged. The ship's interiors were clearly designed for bipedal creatures. The written language, once deciphered, was an ancient form of human script. And the technology, while advanced beyond anything currently known, showed clear signs of human ingenuity. In the Grand Hall of the Galactic Union, heated debates rage. Representatives from thousands of worlds argued about what this discovery meant for the balance of power in the galaxy. Humans have been nothing but a minor species for centuries. One alien diplomat shouted, "How could they have built something so advanced?" Another countered, "Perhaps we've underestimated them all along." This fleet proves they were once far more powerful than we ever imagined. Fear and excitement spread in equal measure. Some saw the human fleet as a threat, while others viewed it as an opportunity to learn and advance their own civilizations. Meanwhile, back on Zeta-9, Dr. Zork and his team continued their research. They had managed to access more of the fleet's systems, uncovering astonishing facts about its capabilities and purpose. "Look at this," Zork said to his colleagues, pointing at a holographic display. According to the ship's records, this fleet was built to defend against a great threat, something that endangered the entire galaxy. His assistant, a young alien named Xin, looked puzzled. But what could have been so dangerous that it required such a powerful fleet? Zork shook his head. "I don't know. The records are fragmented. But whatever it was, it must have been terrifying." As they delved deeper into the ship's databases, they uncovered more about the ancient humans who had built the fleet. They had been a spacefaring civilization far more advanced than anyone had ever suspected. Their technology had allowed them to traverse vast distances, manipulate energy in ways thought impossible, and create weapons of unimaginable power. But then something had happened. The records became unclear, but it seemed that a great catastrophe had befallen the human civilization. The fleet had been hidden away, a last-ditch effort to preserve their legacy and protect the galaxy. As this information became public, attitudes towards humans began to change. The current human population, spread thinly across a few colony worlds, suddenly found themselves the center of attention. They were no longer seen as a minor species, but as the descendants of a once great civilization. Human representatives were called to the Galactic Union for the first time in centuries. They arrived, looking bewildered and overwhelmed by the sudden interest in their kind. We had no idea," one human diplomat stammered. "Our history only goes back a few hundred years. We thought we were new to space travel." The revelation shook the human colonies to their core. They had always believed they were a young, inexperienced species. Now they were faced with the legacy of their forgotten ancestors. As the galaxy grappled with these revelations, Dr. Zork made another startling discovery. Hidden deep in the fleet's central computer was a message, left by the ancient humans who had built the ships. With trembling tentacles, Zork activated the message. A hologram appeared, showing a human figure dressed in strange, archaic clothing. To those who find this fleet, the figure began, its voice echoing across time. "We leave you our greatest achievement and our heaviest burden. The threat we fought still exists, sleeping but not defeated. One day it will return. We pray this fleet will be enough to stop it." The message ended, leaving Zork and his team in stunned silence. They had solved one mystery, only to uncover an even greater one. What was this threat? And would the galaxy be ready when it returned? As night fell on Zeta-9, the ancient fleet glowed with power. a testament to a forgotten past and a warning of battles yet to come. The true test, for humans and aliens alike, was just beginning. The discovery of the ancient human message sent shockwaves through the galactic community. Dr. Zork and his team found themselves working around the clock, trying to unlock more secrets of the mysterious fleet. "We need to understand these ships," Zork said to his tired colleagues. "The fate of the galaxy might depend on it." As days turned into weeks, progress was slow but steady. The technology of the fleet was far beyond anything they had ever seen. Each new discovery left them in awe of the ancient humans' abilities. One day, while exploring the largest ship of the fleet, Sin made a breakthrough. "Dr. Zork, I think I found something," she called out excitedly. Zork hurried over, his tentacles waving with anticipation. Sin had managed to activate a hidden console, revealing a complex star map of the galaxy. "Look," she pointed, "these red markers. They're all over the map, but they're concentrated in this area here." Zork studied the map closely. The area Sin pointed to was in a remote part of the galaxy, largely unexplored by current civilizations. Could these be bases? Outposts? Zork wondered aloud. As they delved deeper into the ship's databases, they uncovered more information. The red markers indeed represented a network of hidden bases and weapon caches, all part of the ancient humans' defense strategy against the unknown threat. Meanwhile, tension was growing across the galaxy. Different factions began to vie for control of the fleet and its secrets. Some saw it as a way to gain power, others as a means of protection. The Galactic Union, struggling to maintain order, called for calm. "This fleet belongs to all of us," the Union president announced. "Its secrets must be shared for the good of the galaxy." But not everyone agreed. Rumors spread of secret missions to find the hidden bases marked on the star map. Ships from various worlds began to disappear into unexplored space, searching for ancient human technology. Back on Zeta 9, Dr. Zork and his team continued their work, oblivious to the political storm brewing around them. They had made progress in understanding the fleet's weapon systems, and what they found was both amazing and terrifying. "These weapons," Zork explained to a group of wide-eyed scientists, "they don't just destroy. They can alter the very fabric of space-time." The implications were staggering. Such weapons could annihilate entire star systems or create impenetrable defenses. In the wrong hands, they could dominate the galaxy. As word of these discoveries spread, the scramble for control of the fleet intensified. Security around Zeta 9 tightened, with ships from the Galactic Union patrolling the system constantly. One night, as Zork was working late in the command ship, alarms suddenly blared to life. He rushed to the bridge to find chaos unfolding. "We're under attack," Sin shouted over the noise. "Multiple ships have entered the system. They're demanding we hand over control of the fleet." Zork's hearts raced. They had feared something like this might happen, but not so soon. "Activate the defense systems," he ordered. To everyone's surprise, the ancient ships responded immediately. Shields snapped into place, and weapon systems came online. The attacking ships, faced with technology far beyond their own, quickly retreated. As the dust settled, Zork realized they had crossed a line. The fleet was no longer just an archaeological discovery. It was now an active player in galactic politics. "We need to do something," Zork said to his team. "This knowledge, this power, it's too dangerous to fall into the wrong hands." Sin nodded in agreement. "But what can we do? We're just scientists." Zork looked out at the fleet, its ships humming with ancient power. "We may be scientists," he said slowly, "but we're the only ones who truly understand these ships. And with that understanding comes responsibility." He turned to his team, determination in his eyes. "We're going to unlock all the secrets of this fleet, and then we're going to use it to find the truth about the threat the ancient humans feared." As his words sank in, Zork knew they were embarking on a dangerous journey. But with the fate of the galaxy potentially at stake, they had no choice. The race to uncover the full potential of the human fleet and the mystery behind its creation was on. As Dr. Zork and his team delved deeper into the mysteries of the human fleet, strange reports began to trickle in from the far reaches of the galaxy. Ships were disappearing without a trace. Entire colonies went silent. At first, these incidents were dismissed as isolated events, but soon a pattern emerged. "Dr. Zork, you need to see this," Sin said one morning, her voice trembling. She pulled up a holographic map of the galaxy, dotted with red markers. Each of these points represents an unexplained disappearance or loss of contact. Zork's tentacles curled in concern as he studied the map. The incidents formed a clear path, moving steadily towards the heart of the galaxy. "It can't be," Zork muttered, his mind racing. The threat the ancient humans warned about. Could it really be returning? As if in answer to his question, alarms blared throughout the ship. The fleet's ancient defense systems had detected something approaching, something massive. Zork and his team rushed to the command center. The main screen flickered to life, showing a sight that chilled them to their core. A vast armada of ships, unlike anything they had ever seen, was emerging from the depths of space. "By the stars," someone whispered. "What are they?" The alien ships were biomechanical in nature, more like living creatures than vessels. They moved with an eerie grace, their hulls shifting and pulsing as if alive. Suddenly, the fleet's computer sprang to life. Ancient data files, previously locked, began to open. The screen filled with images of a terrible war fought long ago, a war between the ancient humans and these very same bioships. "They're called the Harvesters," Zork read aloud from the translated text. "A species that consumes entire worlds, using the resources to expand their fleet. The ancient humans fought them to a standstill, but at a terrible cost." The gravity of the situation sank in. This was why the human fleet had been built. This was the threat they had been warned about. As news of the Harvesters' return spread, panic gripped the galaxy. The Galactic Union, once squabbling over control of the human fleet, now begged for its protection. "We need to act fast," Zork told his team. "The ancient humans left this fleet for a reason. We must use it to defend the galaxy." But there was a problem. Despite all their research, Zork and his team had only scratched the surface of the fleet's capabilities. They needed more time to fully understand and control the ships. Time, however, was a luxury they didn't have. The Harvesters were advancing rapidly, consuming everything in their path. World after world fell silent as the bioships approached. In a desperate move, the Galactic Union ordered all available ships to form a defensive line. It was a valiant effort, but against the advanced technology of the Harvesters, it was like trying to stop a supernova with a paper shield. As the situation grew more dire, an unexpected message arrived at ZA9. It came from Earth, the long-lost homeworld of humanity. "We've been monitoring the situation." The message read, "We're sending a team. They may be able to help." Zork was stunned. Earth, thought to be nothing more than a myth, was real, and they were sending help. Before he could process this information, another alarm sounded. The Harvesters had broken through the Galactic Union's defenses. They were heading straight for ZA9 and the human fleet. "We're out of time," Zork announced grimly. "We need to move the fleet now." With no other choice, Zork and his team began the process of activating the entire human fleet. Ships that had lain dormant for millennia hummed to life, their ancient engines glowing with power. As the Harvester ships appeared on the horizon, a sight both terrifying and awe-inspiring, Zork couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and excitement. This was the moment the fleet had been waiting for. This was why it had been built. "All ships, prepare for battle," Zork commanded, his voice steady despite his racing hearts. "May the wisdom of the ancient humans guide us." As the two fleets faced each other, the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance, Zork couldn't help but wonder, would the legacy of humanity be enough to save them all? As the Harvester ships loomed ever closer, a tense silence fell over ZA9. Dr. Zork and his team stood on the bridge of the ancient human flagship, their hearts racing with a mix of fear and anticipation. The fate of the galaxy now rested on their shoulders, and the power of this long-forgotten fleet. Suddenly, a bright flash lit up the space near Zeta 9. A swirling vortex of energy appeared, growing larger by the second. Zork's eyes widened in disbelief as ships began to emerge from the vortex. Ships of unmistakably human design. "It's them," Sin whispered in awe. "The humans from Earth. They really came." The new human ships were sleek and advanced, clearly built with technology far beyond anything the galactic community possessed. They moved with incredible speed and precision, quickly forming a defensive line alongside the ancient fleet. A transmission crackled through the communication systems. "This is Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We're here to help. Dr. Zork, do you copy?" Zork fumbled with the controls, his tentacles shaking with excitement. "This is Dr. Zork. We copy, Admiral. Your arrival is most welcome." As the human ships took up positions around Zeta 9, Zork couldn't help but marvel at their efficiency. These weren't the primitive beings that the galactic community had dismissed for centuries. These humans were a force to be reckoned with. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the main screen. She was a stern-looking woman with sharp eyes and graying hair. "Dr. Zork, we need to activate the ancient fleet immediately. Our scientists have developed an interface that should allow us to control the ships." Before Zork could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. The harvesters had arrived. "All ships, battle stations." Admiral Chen's voice boomed across all channels. "Zork, we need that fleet online now." In a flurry of activity, human technicians beamed aboard the ancient ships. To everyone's amazement, they interfaced with the old systems with ease, as if they had been designed for this very moment. One by one, the ships of the ancient fleet roared to life. Weapons that had lain dormant for millennia powered up, their energy readings off the charts. Shields flickered into existence, creating an impenetrable barrier around Zeta 9. As the harvester ships opened fire, the combined human fleets sprang into action. The ancient vessels moved with a grace that belied their age, their weapons tearing through the harvesters' bioships with terrifying efficiency. The modern human ships were equally impressive. They danced between enemy fire, retaliating with advanced energy weapons that seemed to bend the very fabric of space. From the bridge of the flagship, Zork watched in awe as the humans coordinated their attack. They moved as one, the ancient and modern fleets working in perfect harmony. "How is this possible?" Sin asked, her eyes glued to the battle unfolding before them. "How can they control these ships so easily?" Admiral Chen's voice came through the comm system. "The ancient humans left behind more than just ships, Dr. Zork. They left us knowledge. Knowledge that's been passed down through generations, waiting for this moment." As the battle raged on, it became clear that the tide was turning. The harvesters, for all their terrifying power, were being pushed back by the combined might of humanity's past and present. In a desperate move, the largest harvester ship broke through the defensive line, heading straight for Zeta 9. It was a behemoth, easily dwarfing even the largest ships in the human fleet. "All ships, focus fire on that vessel," Admiral Chen ordered. The response was immediate. Every ship in both fleets turned their weapons on the massive harvester. The space around Zeta 9 lit up with energy beams, missiles, and weapons beyond comprehension. For a moment, it seemed as if even this combined assault wouldn't be enough. The harvester ship pushed forward, its biomechanical hull absorbing incredible damage. Then, something extraordinary happened. The ancient flagship, under Zork's command, began to glow with an intense light. Energy coursed through its systems, building to levels that seemed impossible. "What's happening?" Zork asked, his tentacles flailing in confusion. Admiral Chen's voice was filled with awe. "It's the Sunforge, the ancient human's ultimate weapon. Zork, you've activated it." A beam of pure energy, as bright as a newborn star, erupted from the ancient flagship. It struck the harvester ship dead center, cutting through its defenses like they were nothing. In a blinding flash, the massive harvester ship disintegrated. The remaining bioships, seeing their flagship destroyed, began to retreat. As cheers erupted across both fleets, Zork sank into his chair, overwhelmed by what had just transpired. The humans had not only returned, but they had saved them all. Admiral Chen's face reappeared on the screen, a rare smile on her lips. "Well done, Dr. Zork. But this is just the beginning. We had a lot to discuss about humanity's place in this galaxy." Zork nodded, realizing that the universe as he knew it had changed forever. The humans had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again. In the days following the battle at Zeta 9, the galaxy buzzed with excitement and fear. The harvesters had been driven back, but not defeated. The human fleet, both ancient and modern, had proven its power, but at what cost? Dr. Zork found himself in the middle of it all, working tirelessly alongside Admiral Chen to prepare for the final confrontation. The Galactic Union, once skeptical of humanity, now looked to them for leadership. "We've tracked the harvesters to their home system," Admiral Chen announced during a strategy meeting. "This is our chance to end this threat once and for all." Zork nodded, his tentacles curling with determination. "The ancient fleet is ready, but the harvesters will be expecting us this time." Chen smiled grimly. "That's why we have a plan." The plan was daring, perhaps even reckless. They would use the ancient fleet's Sunforge weapon to collapse the harvesters' home star, destroying their entire system. But to do so, they would need to get close, dangerously close. As the combined fleet prepared for the final battle, Zork couldn't help but marvel at how far they had come. Aliens and humans working side by side, united against a common enemy. The galaxy would never be the same. The journey to the Harvester home system was tense. Ships from every corner of the galaxy had joined the human fleet, forming an armada unlike anything seen before. As they dropped out of faster-than-light travel, the sight that greeted them was terrifying. The Harvester fleet was massive, thousands of bioships surrounding their home world like a living shield. All ships, battle formations. Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the comms. "Remember the plan. We need to clear a path for the Sunforge." The battle that followed was epic in scale. Energy beams crisscrossed space, missiles streaked between ships, and fighters darted through the chaos like angry insects. Zork found himself at the helm of the ancient flagship, guiding it through the heart of the battle. The ship's advanced systems responded to his every command, as if it had been built for his alien physiology. "We're taking heavy fire," Sin shouted from her station. "Shields at 60% and falling." Zork gritted his teeth, or would have if he had any. "Divert all non-essential power to the shields. We must hold on." Hour after grueling hour, the battle raged on. Slowly, painfully, the Allied fleet pushed through the Harvester defenses. But the cost was high. Ships on both sides fell by the dozens, then hundreds. Just when it seemed they might fail, a gap opened in the Harvester lines. "Now," Admiral Chen's voice boomed. "Dr. Zork, the Sunforge." Zork's tentacles flew over the controls, activating the ancient weapon. The ship hummed with power, energy building to impossible levels. "Everybody, brace for impact," Zork shouted. A beam of pure energy, brighter than 1,000 suns, erupted from the ancient flagship. It struck the Harvester homeworld's star dead center. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the star began to collapse, slowly at first, then faster and faster. The Harvester ships closest to it were pulled in, unable to escape the growing gravitational pull. "All ships, full retreat," Admiral Chen ordered. "Get clear of the system now." As the Allied fleet raced away, the star continued its collapse. In a final, cataclysmic explosion, it went supernova, taking the entire Harvester civilization with it. The shockwave caught up with the retreating ships, tossing them about like leaves in a storm. But when the dust settled, they were still there. They had survived. They had won. Cheers erupted across every ship in the fleet. Aliens and humans alike celebrated their shared victory. The Harvester threat was over. In the days that followed, the galaxy began the long process of rebuilding. But it was a new galaxy, one where humans stood as equals among the stars. On the bridge of the ancient flagship, now orbiting a peaceful Earth, Dr. Zork stood with Admiral Chen, watching ships from 100 worlds come and go. "What happens now?" Zork asked, still in awe of all that had transpired. Chen smiled, a warm, human expression that Zork had come to appreciate. "Now, old friend, we explore. There's a whole universe out there, and humanity is ready to take its place in it." Zork nodded, his heart filled with excitement for the future. They had laughed at the ancient fleet once, underestimating the humans who built it. But now, as humanity stepped onto the galactic stage, no one was laughing anymore. The age of human isolation was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun. And Zork, the alien archaeologist who had started it all, couldn't wait to see what wonders this new era would bring.